Okay, so thank you all for joining. We're now recording. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to stop me to ask any questions that you might be having. And especially, I want to make this clear when I'm talking about these things. Your questions, I really would like to hear your questions around the application of this information because learning
Why
about
are you messing with my ear? Come on, kid. Go find something to do. What do you want my attention for?
so if you have questions about the application of this knowledge, that is what I'm most interested in because that is the purpose of this, the learning objectives.
What
So
do you
first,
want my attention?
I'm gonna start reading the learning objectives, and then we can go ahead. Did I put the learning objectives on here? Uh, That's okay. I didn't put the learning objective on this one. But anyway, the learning objective here is what I was just talking about on the live. We're talking about learning what it means or what it means to train your brain to expand inside of an expansive or infinite space universe. We have some very specific tools that we can use in our uh, wiring, our mental wiring, and our physical wiring of how we can actually train our brains to expand. So subconscious programming is one of those things. You guys hear me talk a lot about the power of your subconscious mind. So we're going to go over that today so we can just kind of have a better understanding of what the subconscious mind is, what the subconscious mind is capable of doing. And that's just going to be, that's going to be what we, sort of get into our psyche today. So the first excerpt is how your mind works. So y'all make sure you stay with me. And again, if there's something that doesn't make sense, or you feel like I understand what this means, but how do I apply it? Ask me those questions before we get off of out of class. So first, how your own mind works. You have a mind and you should learn how to use it. There are two levels of your mind, the conscious or rational level, and also the subconscious or your irrational level. You think with your conscious mind, and whatever you habitually think sinks down into your subconscious mind, which creates according to the nature of your thoughts. It creates according to the nature of your thoughts. Your subconscious mind is the seat of your emotions and is the creative mind. And I think it's very notable here where it says your creative mind, because your creative mind is that darkness of confusion, of disorientation. There's a lack of structure in your creative mind. That's why creative people are usually very messy, and usually don't have a whole lot of stability, because the creativity is it's a very wild, chaotic space of confusion. And so I want you to make sure you understand that associations, that creativity is very unstructured. Reading further, if you think good, good will follow. If you think evil, evil will follow. These are things we already know. This is the way your mind works. The main point to remember is once the subconscious mind accepts an idea, it will begin to execute it. Shall we go back in the room? I do not want to hear any noise. Goodbye. The main point to remember is once the subconscious mind accepts an idea, it begins to execute it. It is an interesting and subtle truth that the law of the subconscious mind, excuse me, I'm gonna read that over. It is an interesting and subtle truth that the law of the subconscious mind works for good and bad ideas alike. This is extremely important. Please remember that. Take a note of it. It does not matter if you're having good or bad thoughts. The subconscious mind does not care. And I want you to, in some ways, I want you to equate the subconscious mind to your understanding of God. Because your subconscious mind is the part of your mind that is creating. Going back to the first paragraph, it says, your subconscious mind is the seat of your emotions, and it is the creative mind. It is the part that creates. All of us know God as the creator. So by the commutative property, we know that if your subconscious mind is what's creating your reality, you can look at your subconscious mind as if it is God. Because it is. It is. So This law, reading further, when applied in a negative way, it is the cause of failure, frustration, and unhappiness. However, when your habitual thinking is harmonious and constructive, you experience perfect health, success, and prosperity. It's just that simple. The peace of mind and a healthy body are inevitable when you begin to think and feel in the right way. Another very important sentence. It's a very important sentence. When you begin to think and feel in the right way. Now, as human beings, there's another law that's at play in that sentence, which is the law of relativity. Okay, the law of correspondence, cause and effect. There is no definition of what the right way is unless you define it yourself. This is the responsibility that many of us do not take advantage of or do not take ownership of. We do not take ownership of the fact that we have a responsibility to define for ourselves what the right way is. If we're not defining that, then anything goes. The universe or our concept of God will give us whatever it is that we just habitually allow ourselves to see and think. If we're not intentionally thinking and feeling in the right way as defined by us as an individual. All right, reading further. Whatever you claim mentally and feel as true, your subconscious mind will accept and bring forth that into your experience. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's good or bad, evil or whatever it is that you accept. If you believe it, if you accept it, if you continuously think it, that is what will come forth into your experience, because again, your subconscious mind is the creator. Your subconscious mind is being told, it's being commanded by your conscious mind. Those two work in tandem with each other and also with your external environment. So there's this cyclical relationship between your external environment and your internal environment. So we're going to read a little bit further so we can bring this all into context. The only thing necessary for you to do is to get your subconscious mind to accept your idea, and the law of your own subconscious mind will bring forth the health, peace, or the position you desire. So it makes it seem like it's very easy. But when it says all you have to do is get your subconscious mind to accept your idea, this is where human beings get confused. Because we do not allow ourselves to think on a level where, okay, we don't feel like we have the capacity to create things on a level where we would place God. We think that God blesses us, that God curses us, protects us, gives us health and wealth, love, joy, peace. We think that God gives us all those things. So when it comes to us thinking about those things, we're habitually looking at it from a place of lack, which actually manifests the lack itself. So if we're saying God, praying, God, give me faith, God, give me joy, God, give me love, God, give me money. What we're saying in the subconscious mind is, I don't have these things. I'm asking for it to be given because I don't have it. So in a very indirect way, our language, the language of our thoughts, is automatically putting us in a place of lack, where we're manifesting lack, because what we're telling the universe is that we don't have it. Can you give me this? At the same time, that's also saying, I don't have it. And so when we pray for things and we are meditating to say, give me, give me, give me, I don't have this, I want this, I need this, I desire this. All of that is saying, I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. And that is what continues to manifest. You don't have it. All right. So hopefully we're going to read further and we'll come on the idea of how do we get ourselves to think on these levels where we're actually telling the brain or telling the subconscious mind, I do have this. and I believe that I have it. That is the key. Not only am I going to tell myself, my subconscious mind, that I do have it, but I also have to believe it in order for that to actually start to activate in the universe of, what do you call it? In the universe for our law of attraction, for attraction to actually become ours. So anyway, reading further. You give the command or decree, and your subconscious will faithfully reproduce. I don't know why they're breaking these words down like this. I think they might be doing it for emphasis or etymology or something. But it says your subconscious will faithfully reproduce the idea that you impressed upon it. Another important sentence. Specifically, you're impressing ideas upon your subconscious mind using your conscious mind. We're going to come back to that. The law of your mind is this. You will get a reaction or a response from your subconscious mind according to the nature of the thought or idea you hold in your subconscious mind. The nature of the thought. Because like I said, if you're thinking, I desire love, I desire money, I desire health and wealth and success and all that stuff, that's not really a bad thought. But again, the nature of it says, I lack these things that I am asking to be given. So it's the nature of it, the thought or the idea that you're holding in your mind, is that if you're asking for something, it means you don't have it. And so again, we're reinforcing this thought or idea in the subconscious mind by using our conscious mind to continuously ask for things. It's not the way we're supposed to be doing this. We're not supposed to be asking. The only thing we should be asking for is guidance and information, because that is really what helps us to create these ideas and then begin to believe them. All right, so psychologists and psychiatrists point out that when thoughts are conveyed to your subconscious mind, impressions are made in your brain cells. This has to do with epigenetics. Epigenetics is the idea that your thoughts can program your genes to activate, reorder, restructure, deactivate as you're thinking. So when we say that the impressions are made in your brain cells, this is actually a restructuring of your brain cells. It's a restructuring of not only your brain, but your entire genetic structure. So as soon as your subconscious accepts any idea, it proceeds to put it into effect immediately, okay? It works by association. Did I have the second one up here? Okay, it works by association. And, oh wait, I gotta bring up the other one, jeez. And it uses every bit of knowledge that you have gathered in your lifetime to bring about its purpose. I think I want to go back. As soon as your subconscious accepts any idea, whether it be good or bad, it proceeds to put it into effect immediately. It works by association of ideas, okay? The association of ideas, and it uses every bit of knowledge that you've gathered in your lifetime to bring about its purpose. You guys, God, I get excited when I'm reading this stuff. When we're talking about how the subconscious mind is putting things into effect, we're talking about the law of attraction. Putting it into effect means that the universe is now recognizing that you have believed something, okay? So again, you have to accept the idea, and when you accept it, that means that you believe in it, because you generally don't accept something that you don't believe. If you don't believe it, you're less likely to accept it. And so belief is very, to me, is very similar to the purpose of you accepting things. You only accept what you believe. And that belief is what makes it real in your mind. When it becomes real in your mind, it becomes real in your life. Okay. So when it says it works by the association of ideas, all right. If you're having an association of ideas, all right, I want to try to make this as plain as possible because it's kind of complex. The way we construct our perception of reality, it happens in a hierarchy. There's a structure to it, much like when you go to school. You cannot understand what's happening in your algebra class until you first understood arithmetic altogether. You have to understand division, addition, subtraction, multiplication, long division, all those things before you get a chance to understand what algebra is. Then you have to understand algebra before you can understand trigonometry, before you can understand statistics, you know, things like that. So what we're doing is we're understanding that as we go through life, we're collecting experiences and we're associating the knowledge with whatever we learned before, like a graduation of information. The more and more you learn, the more you graduate through these sort of grades or the levels of knowledge. When really, to be quite accurate, the universe gives us knowledge in degrees. That's the reason why when you go to school in the university, they give you a degree. And they give you several degrees depending on how much you've learned, how much you've gone through. You have to cycle through these different levels to get a new degree. And that's exactly what the universe does. And actually the whole concept of university and degrees come from the universe and degrees of knowledge. I don't know if you know anything about secret societies or Masonic temples or structures, but they have degrees of knowledge as you graduate through them. So that is where we're at. So it says it uses every bit of knowledge that you've gathered in your entire lifetime to bring about this purpose. So as a child, if you're learning certain things, like let's just say, for example, you grew up in an abusive household. Let's just say you have an abusive home where you're being spoken to in an abusive way. And this is how you're learning about what life is, about how life goes. You may never experience or see or learn the ways of effective communication or the ways of effective emotional intelligence because you've never had that experience to teach you, or that degree of knowledge imparted on you because you just never had the experience. You never got a chance to see it. It never became apparent to you. So with this basic foundation of knowledge or learning information, you go out into the world as an adult, okay? And you find it very hard to be kind or to attract kind people to you because you already have a foundation of knowledge or a degree of knowledge that says to you that communication is harsh, that communication is angry, that communication is belittling or has this negative connotation to it. So your foundation that you're building on is already a precursor to what you're going to experience when you go out into the world, unless you begin to gather new experiences, unless you begin to gather new knowledge that allows you to reprogram the foundation that you've already set, or the foundation has already been set for you. So it becomes about your path. It becomes about your exposure. It becomes more about what you allow yourself to absorb and what you allow yourself to consume in this world. Because gathering this information in your lifetime, it becomes a conscious activity. If you are looking for a way to reprogram, if you're looking for a way to say, I don't like how I'm attracting things in my life, at some point, the only way for you to change is for you to gather new information. You have to go and seek out new knowledge to reprogram, again, that foundation that you've already had. Because your subconscious mind is going to continue to attract whatever you have been consuming, whatever has been established as your foundation of knowledge, as your belief. Because as you're going out into the world, you already believe people are assholes. You believe and you accept that communication is tough. You believe and you accept that people will speak to you however they want. You believe it, you accept it. So in your mind, in the world, in the universe, until you stop believing that, until you stop accepting it and start working to create a new foundation of knowledge to build on, then the universe will continuously attract to you the same knowledge or the same experience that you've already believed and accepted. So this is where it gets very difficult, because we don't always see that we have this ineffective foundation of knowledge. A lot of times, our foundation of knowledge is blind to us. We don't always know. Like, for example, you could be an ineffective communicator. You could be an angry person. You could have low self-esteem. You could have just a negative outlook on life in general. You could be a depressed person. You could think that life is inherently bad. You could have a whole lot of different negative things that are in your foundation of knowledge. And it's tricky because you get to the point where you realize you're too close to it to see it. You're too close to it for you to disown it or to say, I don't believe that. I don't believe that communication has to be harsh like this. If you seriously believe that and you just think that way, you're convinced of it, you literally have to be shown something different, either by way of your own experiences or just by some kind of divine intervention where the universe says to you, hey, this vibration is too low. I don't like it. You have to find a way to come out of it by educating yourself. So again, what I was saying in this live, ascending into the fifth dimension is about academic scholarship. Ascending into the fifth dimension is about you gathering experience by gathering information. It's knowledge. It's about you learning. Okay, and so this is how your purpose, this is how the subconscious mind brings your thoughts into your reality and sets a purpose for itself in how you're experiencing life. All right, so moving on. It draws on the infinite power, energy, and wisdom that's within you. It lines up all the laws of nature to get in its way. So the laws of nature are extensive. There are some few presiding laws, which mean they're all universal. And like any other law structure, there are subsequent laws that are true, but may not necessarily be true for everyone. Okay, but the universal laws are laws that apply to us all. It lines up the laws of nature to get its way. Sometimes it seems to bring about an immediate solution to your difficulties, but other times it may take days, weeks, or even longer. Its ways are past finding out. You can't really find out how the universe is doing this because you could start to restructure your brain. Let's just give an example. You could start to restructure your brain. Let's just say you start to say, you know what, I'm starting to see, like I'm going out into the world and I'm seeing that everybody doesn't have this problem with communication like I do. Everybody's not ignorant. Everybody's not harsh. Everybody's not angry. So I have to challenge how I'm looking at effective communication. I have to challenge how I'm looking at this thing. And when you start to do that, you start to see things differently. The subconscious mind, again, it starts to believe that, because if you actually believe, once you have told yourself, hey, this isn't the way life is, you look around And your mind says, oh, you know what? I actually believe that. I actually believe that communication can be easier. I actually believe that people can be happy. People can be joyful and, full of laughter and fun. I believe that because I see it. I just got into this new social group, and like all the people here are much different than me. So you're looking around, you're gaining knowledge, you're gaining experience, you're talking to these people, you're learning what is it about them that's causing them to be happy, that's causing them to be effective communicators. You're gathering information, you're gathering knowledge, you're gathering experience. So what happens? Immediately, your subconscious mind starts to say, hey, it's okay for us to now attract different stuff. We can now attract better communicators. Why is that? It's because you're changing your vibrations, you're changing your frequency. So when you start to lift up out of that idea that communication is difficult and harsh and angry, you begin to yourself become a better communicator. So now, because you have become a better communicator based on your observation of what communication is, you're on a higher frequency of communication. And now other people who are also on this higher frequency of better communication, they can engage with you now. They can now look at you and say, oh, this person communicates very well. They're not angry. Because see, at first, when you thought that communication had to be so angry and harsh, that was you. You were the angry one. You were the harsh one. And so nobody who really wanted to engage with you on a higher frequency, they couldn't, because you're too busy angry. You're too busy being triggered. You're too busy being tough and impenetrable. But when you have this new higher frequency, now people are saying, oh, this person is fluid. This person is happy. This person is smiling now when they're communicating. So now they're inviting. I can be attracted into their world of new, higher vibrational communication. I can talk to them. We can connect. We can exchange. We can have relationship. We can develop. We can build on the communication because it has improved on the frequency. Because this person has now come to understand and believe that this is now a possibility for them. And immediately, the universe brings in better communicators. Okay, that's how it works. We don't know how the universe does that. It just does. People are attracted. That people feel your vibe. They want to talk. They want to see what you're about. So we're going to read further. Got about 30 more minutes. Okay, so the second section, the conscious and subconscious terms differentiated. Ooh, this is going to be good. I already know it. You must remember that these are not two different minds. They're merely two different spheres of activity within one mind. And if you guys remember our last section, we talked about the spheres of existence inside of our minds. We talked about the 0 sphere versus the 10th sphere. We talked about the 2nd sphere versus the 9th. We talked about the 3rd versus the 8th. We talked about the 4th versus the 7th. Then we talked about the 5th versus the 6th. These are all the spheres that exist inside of our mind. If you didn't catch it, go back. Go back to that last section that we did last week. All right, so the different spheres, there are spheres of activity that are occurring in your mind. Your subconscious mind is the reasoning mind. This is where your reasoning, your logic takes place. Your conscious mind, this is where you're looking around your physical world, you're observing, you're learning, you're understanding things, you're giving it logic, structure. Okay, you're now saying this makes sense. I understand that. That's your conscious mind, your intentions. I intentionally am taking in information and I understand it. Okay. It is this reasoning mind. Okay, it is that phase of mind which chooses things. Again, this is your intention. Your intention to choose, your intention to make choices, your intention to agree with things. Yes or no. This is our binary language inside the inside the conscious mind. Okay. The conscious and the subconscious mind both work on this binary language of duality. All right, your choices, yes and no. For example, you choose your books, you choose your home, your partner in life, all those things. You choose what you're watching on TV. You choose where you choose to go, where you hang out at, the games you play, the thoughts you have. You're choosing those things. On the other hand, without any conscious choice on your part, your heart is kept functioning automatically. And the process of digestion, circulation, and breathing are carried on by your subconscious mind through the process or through processes that are independent of your subconscious or of your conscious control. So right now you're talking, you're listening, you're having these, situations happening in your mind around you. All this stuff is happening. You do not have to think not one time about your heart beating. You do not have to think about your eyes blinking, about your breath. You can choose to breathe intentionally, but you don't have to. You can breathe idly, unconsciously or subconsciously. You can do that. But this is all stuff happening that is independent of logic or reason. It's just happening. Okay? Your body is digesting your food without you having to tell it to do that. Your subconscious mind accepts what is impressed upon it, or what you consciously believe. Again, your beliefs, it's all about what you accept. If you accept that the world works a certain way, you believe it, that's what's going to manifest. The world will continue to work that way. If you believe your life is a certain way and you accept it, guess what? Your life will continue to work that way because you believe it and accepted it. It does not reason things out like your conscious mind. And it does not argue with you controversially. I don't know why it's breaking the words down like that. That's kind of whack. But anyway, it does not argue with you controversially. Your subconscious mind, again, it does not argue. It doesn't care what you're choosing to believe, because what's going on in your subconscious mind is the fact that you are one brain. So when it says that you have to think in a right way, going back to the previous page, thinking correctly, your subconscious mind assumes that you're thinking correctly. Your subconscious mind is like, we are all one body. So I'm going to trust that these thoughts are correct because I am attached to this person. The subconscious mind and the conscious mind, they're agreeing because they are assuming that your consciousness and your intention is working in the best interest of the self. Okay? Your subconscious mind is assuming that you know what's best for you. So it's not going to argue with you when you say, hey, accept this because I believe it. Create this reality because I have accepted it and because I believe it. Your subconscious mind is going to say, okay, great. That's like your mother telling you to do something in your best interest. Are you really going to question your mother? I mean, some of us do, but like when we're children, our parents are keeping us safe. We don't question when our parents tell us don't touch the hot stove. We might still go ahead and do it because we're curious. But the idea of what I'm saying is that we trust our parents to keep us safe and protected. And that's what the subconscious mind is doing. It's trusting you to operate in its best interest because it is you. It is a part of you. So when we say things like, I want to live a life that's pleasing to God, you're saying, I want to live a life that's pleasing to my subconscious mind, which is also at the same time saying, I want to live a life that is pleasing to myself. All these things are one and the same. So we have to understand that when we're creating reality, operating in our own best interest is our best interest, because if we're not, the subconscious mind is going to create your reality off of whatever you say. It doesn't matter if you're not operating in your own best interest or not. Your subconscious mind does not care. So we have to work in favor of ourselves by saying, I know what to think. I know how to think. And if I'm experiencing results that are not pleasing to me, then it means I need to look at how I'm thinking. I need to look at how I'm going about this approach to life and belief and acceptance of ideas, of things, of materials to consume, the way I'm perceiving my environment internally and externally. All right. So it says it does not reason out things and doesn't argue with you controversially. Your subconscious mind is like the soil, which accepts any kind of seed, whether it's good or bad. This is so important. Any kind of seed you put into the ground is going to grow. For the most part, you feed it, you take care of it, you continuously, ritualistically feed this thing water. You've prepared the ground for it. It is very fertile. You're giving it fertilizer. You're doing these things daily, systematically to make this seed grow. This is what's happening in your subconscious mind. It says your thoughts are active and might be likened unto the seeds. Negative, destructive thoughts continue to work negatively in your subconscious mind. And in due time, it's going to come forth into your outer experience, which corresponds with them, the law of correspondence. Correspondence means as above, so below. As within, so without. Whatever happens in that mind of yours, it's going to happen in that reality of yours. So last paragraph. Remember, your subconscious mind does not engage in proving whether your thoughts are good or bad, true or false, but it responds according to the nature of your thoughts or your suggestions. For example, if you consciously assume something as true, even though it may be false, your subconscious mind is going to accept it as true. And it's going to proceed to bring about results, which must necessarily follow, because you consciously assumed it to be true. This is the reason why we should not ever take assumptions, because assumptions are suggestions, and the subconscious mind works off of suggestions, beliefs, ideas, repetitive thoughts, repetitive messages, things that you're continuously allowing yourself to consume. That's what's coming into your conscious mind as a reality, or into your subconscious mind as a reality, and it's coming from your conscious mind. And so if you have this book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, you'll see that what is happening in your well, I'll put it this way. The book gives an example, which I think is very, very illustrative of how it works, and is very effective. So if you imagine being on a ship, you have two sections of the ship. You have one place of the ship where it's above deck at the very top, where the captain sits. This is the person who is steering the boat. It's the person who has control of where the boat is going. Then you also have the people below the deck, below water. Those are the ones who are rowing the boat. All they're doing is providing the energy for the boat to make it to wherever this destination is. They're just rowing. They have no clue where we're going. We just know we're going. I'm going to keep rowing and we're going to keep getting there. We are relying on the captain, which is the conscious mind, to interpret the seas, the waters, what the environment is. Are there glaciers here? Is there land here? Should we be going around? Should we be doing this? The people who are rowing have no idea what's happening up there. All they know is we're going. That's the subconscious mind. It's providing the steam for your conscious mind to create a reality, which means your conscious mind is telling the subconscious mind, hey, this is what I see in life. This is what I see in my environment. It's looking kind of dark out here. People are kind of crazy. The world is kind of fucked up. I don't like it. This is stupid. Nothing is working. Society sucks. You know, we have all these things. And the subconscious mind is like, all right, this is your reality then. I'm just going to keep rowing, and this is where you're going to get to. For you, your direction is a stupid life. Everything's going to suck. Nothing is going to make sense. Everything is going to be dark, and people are going to be annoying because this is what you're telling me that you see about life. You're accepting it. You love it. This is what is happening. Okay, so your subconscious mind is like, great, this is what it is. Your life is going to suck. All right, but then when you start to realize that your life sucks, because that's what you've been seeing. That's what you've been immersed in. That's what you've been consuming as a stupid life. You start to be conscious of that. You start to look around and say, hey, listen, I see some other things out here in this reality that I can actually steer my boat in this direction. I could tell the rowers, I could tell these people below the deck, well, I should say I could steer my boat in this direction. Because after all, the people below who are rowing, they have no idea where we're going. They're going to keep rowing. So I could just as easily change course. I could just as easily say, well, you know, I think we should go in this direction because I see happiness over here. I see a horizon. I see the sun. I see land. I see vegetation. I see animals. I see people. I see abundance. I see a society that has possibilities. I see a society that is thriving. I see a possibility for me to educate myself. I see, you know, people that I can connect with on a higher frequency. I see my vibe tribe over here. I'm going to go in this direction. Guess what? The subconscious mind is going to keep getting you there. It's going to keep manifesting these things. Eventually, the rowing, it's like it's bringing to you that reality which you're saying you want. You're getting closer and closer to it. It's getting closer and closer to you because you're attracting it as you're seeing it, thinking it, accepting it, believing in it because you see it differently now. It's up to you to see it differently though. Because if you're on the course of destruction and death and darkness and all of this stupid stuff, you could easily choose to just turn and say, oh, there's better days over there. I could choose to see this as an opportunity instead of me seeing it as a failure. You know, when you fail in life, you could easily tell your subconscious mind, consciously, you could say, oh, I'm a failure. This didn't work out in my favor. Nobody's paying attention to me. Nobody's listening. Nobody can understand me. I could have did that better. I should have said that differently. You know, I'm really a failure. You could do that. But then you could also say, you know what? I failed. What did I do wrong? How can I improve? I saw that this did work. Even though I failed, this one little piece I did do correctly. All very positive things. I'm going to take that stuff that I didn't really like that much and I'm going to improve. I'm going to do it differently the next time. I'm going to see it differently the next time. I'm not going to look at it like a failure. I'm going to look at it like an opportunity. The same experience, it becomes light instead of darkness because you looked at it. You chose to look at it differently. You can do that with anything. If you say, I have a lack of money, I don't have no money. Gosh, I don't have no money. You could look at it like that and continue manifesting a reality where you have no money. Or you could look at your reality and say, you know what? There's a lot of things I can do to make money. It's a lot of things I can do to make money. I know that, I accept it, I believe it. Guess what? The universe is going to start bringing to you those opportunities to make money. One thing I know about the universe and one thing I really loved about the movie Evan Almighty. I was watching Evan Almighty and there was a scene in there where the wife of Evan, she was discouraged because he started acting crazy. Okay. She had already been like, oh, we're moving into this big fancy house and we're not spending time with him anymore because he's got this new job and as a legislator or whatever. And our family, we don't get a chance to see him anymore. And so she was getting discouraged because when he started acting crazy, it just seemed even further removed from what she was expecting to see as the wife. So Morgan Freeman, who was God in the movie, came to her and said, what do you think God is about? If you tell God and you pray to God for more time with your husband, do you think that God is just getting ready to zap y'all and immediately you're just going to have more time to spend with your husband? Or do you think it's going to look more like you have an opportunity? God is going to give you more opportunities to spend time with your husband. So after that conversation happened, she went home and she realized that he was acting crazy, but she also realized that she didn't know why. She had no idea what was going on with him. She just assumed and accepted that he was gone, that he was crazy, that something had happened and he just was, stressed out, or it was something negative, and she just accepted it. But when she went and after she heard that conversation, she went to him and she decided that she was going to figure out why. And eventually she just started to accept that she was getting her husband back, regardless of how crazy he seemed to be, regardless of how ridiculous it was that they were building an ark in the middle of their suburban neighborhood. The ridiculous story about him meeting God and him not being able to take the clothes off and all those different things that were happening. She disregarded that, and she just simply saw the positivity in the fact that she had been asking to spend more time with him. So regardless if she was getting crazy time or not, she appreciated and she saw the answer of her prayers inside of all that chaotic confusion. She was able to spend more time with him, and it panned out that there was a purpose for all of what he was doing. There was a purpose for it. And he became a hero for, doing what he did. And his family was able to participate in that. And they, not only did they get to spend time with him, but they also got a chance to validate him. They got a chance to support him. They got a chance to bring him into their world as they were coming more into his. And so this is what it looks like for us. We have opportunities to look at things differently. We have opportunities to give ourselves different experiences. And so that's really what programming the subconscious mind is all about. And so when you get a chance, we're going to go ahead and close out. Got 10 more minutes. And I'm going to give you guys a chance to ask any questions before we close out. In this episode, what we're looking at in the natural law versus religious programming is we're looking at the Hermetic principles. And I think I showed y'all in the last class, Hermetic principles, the Hermetica, the Kybalion. I want you to look at those two things. And I want you to listen to this episode talking about what religious programming is. Because like I said, when we have this ritualistic or this repetitive, and I need you to know that when we're talking about rituals, a ritual is anything that you're doing repetitively, anything that you're consistently consuming or doing in your life is a ritual. So when we have this ritualistic practice, that is a religion. Religions are based on rituals. When we have these rituals, Shahid, be quiet. When we have these ritualistic practices, what we're doing is understanding that we're creating religious beliefs based on what we do ritualistically, repetitively. And so to program ourselves religiously means that we are consistently consuming something. So if you're looking at a TV show that's giving you the same message over and over again, like, for example, if you're looking at, for example, the news. Now, I know a lot of Black people have an issue with news programming, and I want you to make note that they call TV shows, they call it programming. When you turn on the TV or when you turn on the radio, they'll say, okay, back to your regular programming. Because it's a ritual. The messages that are coming to you through the programming of your TV, the programming of the show, it's a message that you're consuming and it's telling you something. So again, I was going to give you the example of Black people on the news. A lot of times when we see ourselves on the news, the images of Black people is usually very negative. It's usually very, how do I say this? It doesn't represent who we truly are. The messages tell you on the news that Black people, we live in squalor, that we have, we like to shoplift, and we have these questionable characters. But in reality, Black people are very diverse. Yes, we do exist in a place where we might not have all of the high ground when it comes to our morals. But that's a small section of who we are. But the diversity of who we are does not get portrayed in the programming. So a lot of society, a lot of people in the world, they believe a certain message about Black Americans, because the programming to all of the masses of society, they get to see an image that is not accurate. It doesn't accurately depict the totality of who we are. And so this is what it means by the messaging. Or for example, that women are objects, sexual objects. They don't just outright tell you that women are sexual objects. No, they're not just going to outright say that. They're going to ritualistically, repetitively show you images of women being sexual objects. And because your subconscious mind is not going to argue, it's going to accept that a woman's body is a sexual object, or that Black people are not productive citizens of society. Or it might tell you that homosexuality is normal, or it might tell you that, well, hell, it could tell you a lot of things. Consumption or consumerism is what life is about. Materialism, individualism is what life is about. Everything we look at is about sex, money, very low vibrational things. And these are the messages. This is the programming that we're accepting. And again, the subconscious mind is not arguing. The subconscious mind is accepting it every step of the way. And the more we consume it, the more we accept it, the more we play into it, buy into it. Subconscious mind is like, all right, cool. It is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. And we don't have any ability to refute it subconsciously, because we're not intentionally doing so. So anyway, that is the end of this reading, the lecture. So I want you guys to, again, ask questions if you want. We're going to just, open up the floor for anybody that wants to talk about anything. We don't have to talk about the lesson. We can talk about anything. And then we'll go ahead and close out. So, hey, y'all. Hey. Hey, y'all. Hey. Hopefully you got something from the lesson, from the lecture. And hopefully you'll be back next week. And I'm going to post this quiz hopefully by the end of tonight, if not tomorrow. And then you'll be able to do it. Y'all go back in that thing and take these quizzes so we could talk about them. I want to talk about the quizzes. So we can talk about the answers to the quizzes. That's going to be one of the biggest benefits to you, is learning from the questions. So if all hearts are clear, all hearts and minds are clear, we can go ahead and close out.
Oh, I don't really have a question, but I thought it was pretty cool how it was talking about your subconscious mind, how you can just plant a seed in there and it's going to grow, because that's definitely true, and it can be good or bad too.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, you guys, I want y'all to practice this. Okay, so the subconscious, the book that I'm reading from on this excerpt, it tells you different practices, different methods that you can use. And I want to suggest one of them to you tonight. When you go to bed, or before you go to bed, get on your phone, speak your affirmations into your voice recorder, like record your voice, speaking your affirmations. Say things like, don't say anything like ridiculous that you can't actually believe. Say things that you're going to be able to perceive in some way or another. Like, for example, you speak your affirmations and say, I am experiencing an abundance of love in my life. Say those types of affirmations into your voice recorder. Say it in a very kind, very pleasing tone of voice. Speak to yourself like you would speak to a friend. Speak all your affirmations. I mean, say whatever you want to say, all your affirmations. And before you go to bed, play them every night. Say as many affirmations as you possibly can. Listen to it. Fall asleep to it if you can. Put it on your speaker, whatever you have to do. Play some music while you're recording it, like some of those 432 binary, what do you call it? Those beats. What do you call those beats, y'all?
I think it's binaural beats, maybe.
Binaural beats, that's it. Play some binaural beats in the background and speak your affirmations, play it before you go to sleep, and just do it consistently and see what it does for you. I haven't done it yet because I do my affirmations at my altar for the most part. I kind of just have a way of consistently affirming myself. But that's my practice. I'm a little bit more advanced when it comes to doing the programming thing. But I want you to try that out and just see what it does for you, and be specific with your affirmations. Be very specific. Don't just say, oh, I have an abundance of love. Say I have an abundance of love from my family. The people around me love me. My people at my job love me. Everybody loves to talk to me. Like, be specific about what kind of affirmations you're talking about. If you're saying that you're living an abundant life, talk about the abundance. Talk about how you have an abundance of ideas, you have an abundance of support, you have an abundance of whatever, talk about the real abundance that you can really feel in your life, and allow the recorder to capture that so that you can play it back. Okay, check that out. Does somebody else have a question? I know I heard another voice.
Oh, I had a question, but it's like 2 minutes left, so it's okay.
No, go ahead. I'm not in a rush.
Okay, my question was like, how do you feel about like people listening to trap music and all that type stuff, like while still being on the spiritual journey and all that stuff? Like, you feel like it will bring you down, or do you feel like if you have discernment, it's okay? Like,
discernment is necessary. Yes, discernment is necessary. I listen to all kinds of music, trap music included. The thing about it is if you are aware of the suggestive power of the music, it's less likely to program you in the negative direction, because as you're listening to it and you're hearing the negative messages, you are consciously impressing in your mind, like you hear, okay, drop that thing, bend it over, bust it wide open, all this other kind of stuff that you hear, taking drugs and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. Your mind already knows that there's something wrong with that message. Mm-hmm. So your subconscious mind is less likely to absorb it and create a reality out of it, because you already consciously know that there's something wrong there. So when you consciously are aware of things, it makes a huge difference in what your subconscious mind is allowed to have impressed upon it. And you'll see that in the reading that we just did. It talked about your subconscious mind having things impressed. And so it will not impress anything that you really don't accept. If you don't accept the message of the music, you're just dancing to it, or you're just listening to it, turning up, or doing whatever you're doing. That's not necessarily an impression. But if you're not aware consciously of what the messages are, like if you're just not that experienced and the music is like, for example, there are some right now spiritual people that are out there giving messages that appear to be spiritual, but they don't necessarily have any foundation in real spiritual practice, and they don't really have any spiritual impact. But a person who is not wise enough to realize that, they're going to accept it because they're just simply unaware that this doesn't have the value that the person is really saying that it does. And so there's a difference between you just hearing something and you're like, oh, I know that's not true, but that beat is everything, so I'm just about to dance to it. But if it says something that you're like, you can't consciously refute it, it might impose on you. But I will say this, trap music also has a vibrational frequency to it. Okay, so when you're listening to it, it is going to take you to that vibrational frequency. What's going to happen a lot of times, and happens to me too, even in my mature, more advanced level of, perceiving these things, when I'm listening to a certain type of music, it's going to take me to that place. So for example, I'm listening to certain songs talking about bad relationships, talking about, negative, aspects of relationships. And it almost immediately makes me think of all my traumatic experiences that I've had with relationships.
Yeah, like I'm thinking
ridiculous relationships I had with dudes. Why did I let myself do that? I start having this negative train of thought. And then that becomes a problem. It becomes like, it's not necessarily the music itself that's giving me this negative vibration, but it's what the music is making me think about. It's making me think about all my failures. It's making me think about the things I should not have done. It's making me think about the things I should have done differently, all these different things. And I'm just like, turn it off, Sharice. I'd be like, shake it off, because I'm not here to reinforce the idea that I messed up in my life, or that I did something to, kind of screw myself over. So it's like, no, I prefer to listen to music that's going to give me, like Black is King, Beyonce, she's giving you all the vibes of power and giving you all the vibes of your godliness, giving you all the vibes of your empowered, mental, just, empowering. So for me, yeah, I try to give myself a good balance when it comes to that musical messaging. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, it does. It really does.
Cool. Anything else?
Yeah, wait. So it's kind of just on the same thing, but you can also program your subconscious with like good music too, right?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Listen, I have a song on my playlist on Spotify that the name of the song is called Brilliant. And I like to play it as an affirmation, because in the song, in the chorus part, the hook, all she says over and over again is, you are brilliant. You are brilliant. You are brilliant. You are brilliant. She just says it over and over again. I'm just like, yes, I am brilliant. Give me all these brilliant vibes. I am brilliant. I just love it. So yeah, you can definitely use music and then also, like I said, you can use the music to take you to a place. If you're looking for empowering music, you can listen to music that's going to make you get up off your ass and go into the world and take charge, like Carpe Diem, seize the day type of music, where it's giving you a message of empowerment. It's telling you that the world is yours. It's telling you that you can achieve whatever you want. Like that song by Nas, I know I can be what I want to be. If I work hard at it, I can do anything, or something like that. It's an old song. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm old. But it's stuff like that. Like there are songs out there that are just empowering, where you're like, or Jill Scott, she's another one that gives me a lot of empowering messages, where she's telling me that, I need to protect my body. I need to protect my thoughts. I need to protect my womanliness, because there are a lot of people who would take advantage of, just you being a vulnerable woman who has not been taught by society. Because of course, society teaches women that we are objects. And so her music is really about her journey out of that. When she talks about places where she's been kind of like the woman who's just been down for whatever, she's objectifying herself. But then she kind of talks about how she has epiphanies, these moments where she's realizing, hey, I'm not really honoring myself here. I need to change. I need to put myself on a sort of like being reserved as a woman, and as a man too. Men have to do the same thing in order to empower themselves. And, so there's just music out there that will give you this message that is a lot different than what society says. Only thing is, kind of sad, is that we have to seek out that type of music. It doesn't just come mainstream. We actually have to go and find artists that are positive, that have a message that, still has a great beat. And I think that's one thing about younger people, is that we look for the music to be like, oh, I love that beat. I love the beat. There's plenty of music out there that has beats that are just as, banging, I guess is what you would call it. What they say, that beat knocks. I don't know what y'all young people be saying, but that well, y'all be saying it slaps. I still don't like that. I don't like that one. I don't like that. I wish I wouldn't say stuff is slapping. I don't. But anyway, those kind of things are not specific to trap music and negative music. Good beats are found throughout all different types of music. So you have to seek that out for yourself and really give yourself a chance to consume music that's more conducive to where you want to go. Because again, your subconscious mind is going to take you wherever you're going, wherever you're telling your mind that this is reality. This is what I want. This is what I want to hear. This is what I want to think. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to listen to. Your subconscious mind is not arguing. It's not arguing. So you determine if that's good for you or not. Your subconscious mind agrees, plain and simple. You have to figure out the reason why you think it's good for you, the reason why you think it's bad for you. figure all those things out, the inner workings of it, because again, your subconscious mind is agreeing, and eventually it will create whatever you agree with.
Okay.
All right. Y'all, I'm excited about this. I'm glad you guys are coming consistently. Thank you for that. Hopefully you're taking notes and you're really getting these things into your mind. I wouldn't be mad if you went back over some of these things just so that you can start to see the bigger picture of where we're getting with the manifesting using metaphysics, because there's an overarching goal here. I'm going to go back so I can show you. Just sharing my screen. Understanding the systems of universal law, training your brain to expand inside of those systems, and then how to read your manifestations is where we're going in our, after we finish these next two, after we finish this section. The next section is talking about reading your manifestations. So basically, once you understand the systems of the law, the systems of universal law, then you can expand by using them. And then after that, you can make sure you're checking yourself by learning how to read your manifestations. It's like a calibration, which is what we're going to be going over next. Calibrating how you are expanding. So if you're, for example, manifesting something that you don't like, you have to learn how to read that. You have to learn how to look at life itself to determine whether or not it's the outcome that you're looking for. If not, you have to go back to square one, and you have to start calibrating how you're doing this subconscious programming, because the manifestation is a direct result of the subconscious programming, direct result. So we're going to learn more about that next. Okay. All right, y'all. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you all for coming. And again, go back to the last lectures and take those quizzes so we can talk about them. I'll be looking forward to next session next week. Same time, same place, y'all.
Thank you, Reese.
No problem. Good night, y'all.
Thank you, Reese.
Bye-bye.